The last red strip of sunset was slipping behind the pines when the letter arrived. Thick, ivory paper. Official seal. 3 words in bold caps that felt like a slap across 40 years of memories. Remove your boat. I stood barefoot on the dock, the planks warm from the day, my hand trembling so hard the envelope rattled louder than the cicadas. That 1,974 Chris-Craft, mahogany and brass, had carried my father, my son, and every grandchild who'd ever held a fishing pole in this family. And now the newly elected HOA board people who'd moved in during the last 2 summers claimed it was an eyesore. I folded the letter once, twice, until the creases cracked, and stared across the little inlet we locals still call Miller's Cove, though the developers rebranded it Heron Harbor. 65 slips, 1 fuel dock, 1 boat ramp, and 1 modest bait shop that smelled of coffee, shrimp heads, and my late wife's cinnamon rolls on Saturdays. The harbor fed the whole neighborhood the way roots feed a tree. Without it, property values wouldn't rise. They'd plummet. And everyone knew. Everyone except, apparently, the 5 smiling strangers who'd just taken seats on the board. That night, I sat at my kitchen table under the yellow glow of the same fixture my mother used to read me weather reports aloud. My daughter Ellen poured decaf and said, "Dad, you've paid your slip fee every quarter since 1983. They can't just—" "They can try," I muttered. "They use the covenant about unsightly vessels, said the wood's too faded, the varnish too chipped, claim I'm depreciating everyone's view." Ellen's jaw set the way her mother's used to. "The view they bought was you polishing that boat every Sunday like it was church. Keep that in your back pocket." I tried to laugh, but it came out thin. I had served 28 years in the Coast Guard, retired as a chief, and prided myself on following rules when they made sense. I kept the Chris-Craft registered, insured, safety checked. I'd rebuilt the carburetor with these hands when arthritis allowed. The boat wasn't an eyesore. It was a family album you could ride. The next morning I met the board on the clubhouse deck. All white railings and Boston ferns. President Linda Caraway wore a linen blazer despite the heat. She spoke like she was reading from a teleprompter. "Mr. Miller, we're simply enforcing standards that protect our collective investment." "Standards," I repeated, tasting the word. "My boat's older than your cul-de-sac, ma'am. She's earned her wrinkles." Linda smiled with no warmth. 30 days. Then we arrange removal at your expense." A younger man, Treasurer Patel, cleared his throat. "We're also raising slip fees 40%. Capital improvements." He gestured toward the empty gazebo where a heron stood, one-legged, unimpressed. I felt heat crawl up my neck, but I kept my voice steady. "I'd like that in writing, please." They exchanged glances. Surprised a retiree would ask for documentation. I left, with crisp pages folded in my pocket, already tasting the shape of a plan. That afternoon I walked the property line the way my father taught me to pace a hurricane's eye. Slow, deliberate, noting every stake and survey marker. The Marina sat on a narrow peninsula, curling into the cove like a finger. 1 road in, 1 road out. And along that road, hidden by wax myrtles, stood the original wrought iron gate my grandfather installed when he donated the land in 1959. The deed, yellowed and taped inside my safe, said the access strip 12 feet wide, half a mile long, remained private property under Miller Family Trust. The HOA could use it, but only for ingress and egress to the marina and for no other purpose. Granddad had been a cautious man. I called my old shipmate Dave, now a surveyor in Jacksonville. "Need a favor," I said. "Bring your GPS toys and a camera." He arrived at dawn with a drone that buzzed like an oversized mosquito. We flew the boundary twice, Dave narrating numbers while I watched the monitor. The gravel road, the gate posts, even the speed bumps lay squarely on trust land. Dave whistled. "They've been mowing your grass, painting your curbs, acting like they own it." "They do," I said softly, "until they don't." Before I could chicken out, I posted the first CTA right there on my little channel, just a quiet video titled, "The Day They Told an Old Sailor to Sink His Memories." I kept my voice low and let the camera linger on the Chris-Craft scarred transom. If you've ever loved something old that still runs, Tap that like button and ride this story with me. Comments rolled in faster than I expected. Veterans, grandmothers, even teenagers restoring their dad's pickups. One read, "My HOA tried to throw away my dad's Purple Heart flag. You've got this, Chief." I swallowed hard and turned off the screen. The following week, I mailed the board a polite letter, certified return receipt, inviting them to discuss an amicable path forward. They scheduled a hearing in the same clubhouse, same Boston Ferns. This time, I brought my daughter, a yellow legal pad, and a rolled-up survey map like a battle ensign. Linda folded her hands. "We're here to listen." I laid the map on the table, weights at each corner, a coffee mug, a scone, someone's phone. "This is the Miller family trust boundary," I said. "Your road, your gate. The very soil you stand on leased, not deeded. Per paragraph 4, the lease is revocable with 90 days notice for any material breach." Treasurer Patel frowned. "Breach? We've done nothing." "You threatened to confiscate my boat," I interrupted, voice still calm. "That's interference with trust property. Also, Section 7 caps slip fee increases at the CPI rate. 40% is triple that." Silence settled like fog. Finally, Linda said, "What exactly do you propose?" "Simple," I replied. "Drop the removal order, roll back the fee hike, and we all keep enjoying sunsets. Otherwise, on day 91, this gate," I tapped the map, "closes. I'll install a nice white vinyl fence the county approves, maybe some climbing roses. You'll have to find another way to reach your marina." A board member, Mrs. Delgado, whispered, "But that's the only road." I smiled the way you do when the weather turns faster than forecast. "Yes, ma'am, it is." They asked for a week to consult counsel. I agreed, then went home and varnished the Chris Craft under string lights while cicadas sang. Each brushstroke felt like painting armor. The week crawled. I posted the second CTA, this time from the helm, water lapping gently. "If you believe rules should cut both ways, share this with someone who's felt powerless. And if you've got popcorn, stick around, Act 3 is coming." On day 88, their attorney phoned. "Mr. Miller, the board wishes to settle. Full rescission of removal order. Fee increase capped at inflation. In exchange, you renew the road lease for 15 years at a modest rent." I let the pause stretch, hearing gulls through the open window. "Tell them, I'll consider it if they also repaint the gazebo, install a bench honoring veterans, and fly the Coast Guard ensign on national holidays." He chuckled. "You drive a hard bargain." "Son," I said, "I learned to tie knots that hold in a hurricane. Hard bargains are what's left when courtesy fails." We met one last time on the dock at sunrise. The air smelled of diesel and dew. I brought a thermos. Linda brought the signed agreement and a pot of mums for my wife's old garden. We shook hands, stiff but civil. She glanced at the Chris Craft, sunlight firing the brass. "She really is beautiful." "Takes patience to see it," I said. "Same with people." That evening, I motored out past the channel markers, throttle low, wake feathering like lace. I scattered a palmful of my wife's ashes from an old tobacco tin she'd insisted on resting where the grandchildren learned to bait hooks. The boat rode steady, engine purring, varnish gleaming. I spoke to the sky the way sailors do. "Still seaworthy, darling. We both are." Back at the slip, I uploaded the final clip. Me tying a cleat hitch, camera on tripod, voice gentle. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a quiet knot that holds when everything else wants to drift. Drop a comment, what memory would you fight to keep afloat? I ended with the third CTA. Subscribe if you like stories where the little guy still has a rudder. Next week, I'm taking my grandkids' night, fishing under that gazebo we just saved. Hope to see you there. As I hit upload, the heron landed again on the rail, eyeing the empty tin. I tipped my cap. "Plenty of minnows left, partner. Stick around."